live look outside from the Oregon coast. Our In at Spanish Head Resort Hotel camera in Lincoln City. Beautiful view out there today. Thanks for watching Afternoon Live. Okay, we've all been there. An awkward moment with the boss or a tense conversation with your in-laws. Those moments when you just want to disappear. Our next guest is here to help us diffuse any tough situation with humor. We welcome the author of The Humor Habit, Paul Osincup. Thanks for joining us.
Absolutely.
You have some great ideas for us in those very uncomfortable moments that we've all been in at some point in our lives.
Right, yeah. We've all had those like super awkward moments or just heavy, tense moments.
Sure.
And sometimes the key is to carry ourselves a little lighter, just generally, that might help bring a little levity to the moment as well.
Even just a simple moment of humor can really diffuse a lot of that tension pretty quickly, too.
Yeah, there's a lot of research that shows that people, even strangers who are in the same room together that don't know each other, people who laugh near each other report far higher levels of liking the other person than people who say we're in the same room in a more serious situation. So yeah, those moments, because what happens is it releases oxytocin, and that's the chemical that's responsible for our connection with one another.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Even just a stranger to stranger first time meeting can really have that big of an impact.
Right.
Okay. What about turning those awkward moments into memorable moments?
Sure. Well, I mentioned kind of carrying yourself lightly. I used
Yeah.
to have a job where I was an associate dean at a university. I met with students that were in trouble, after violating rules. And I remember there was this one young man who I had met with before. It didn't go too well.
Yeah.
He had gotten upset and stormed out. I was having another meeting with him. This time he was back with his mom and his attorney. It was a very serious meeting. And right before going to get him, I spilled like a 32-ounce drink on my pants.
No.
And I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't have anything to change, change into. So, I just walked out there and said, called his name and said, I hope your day is starting off better than mine.
Right.
As I looked down, and he just quietly looks up and goes, I told you to see a doctor about that. And the whole room, everybody in earshot laughed, except his mom, who was like, "What are you doing?"
You're already in trouble.
Yeah, exactly. Shut up. But those moments, just even in a position, I was in a serious position, a position of power, but carrying myself lightly. I didn't do anything funny.
Yeah.
But he took that olive branch of levity, and we had a much more productive conversation that time.
Good. And you were kind of both open to making that connection at that point, finding the humor in the situation that could have been just really awkward if you tried to just ignore it or brush over it.
Totally.
What about those really tough political conversations? You're at a dinner party, you're with your in-laws, you have a very tense disagreement. How do you kind of back out of that and get back to a lighter place?
Yeah, politics is hard because we're so passionate about what we believe in, and I think so. The first thing is to think in your mind like, okay, in this moment, do I want to save the world or get through dinner?
Right.
And sometimes it's get through dinner, and so we just need to balance the gravity of politics with the levity of it sometimes. And so thinking about, for example, how could I redirect the conversation to something lighter in the moment? So as tensions are rising, that political conversation starts, you start seeing Uncle so-and-so and Sister so-and-so, and you're like, oh gosh. You can think of something that we all find ridiculous so that we're all on the same team and in on the joke.
Okay.
Like, hey, I'll just be glad when all the political attack ads are over with.
Sure.
And then turn the humor back onto yourself. Like, I'm just glad that in my line of work we don't have that kind of stuff where we attack each other. Like, Paul says he's an author, but he put an apostrophe ER on the word more in his book.
That's a great example.
Yeah, like, what? Don't trust your reading to apostrophe Paul. Because then we're putting the humor back on ourselves, and then all of a sudden people will probably join in. Now we're having a silly conversation about what an attack ad would look like in your line of work. So. And
you can find a balance too. You're not trying to completely obliterate any tough conversation, but you can just kind of know when nobody's really making progress in those moments where it's just not fun for anybody.
Right. Yeah. There's times, like I said, to really want to educate people and change the world. And there's times where it's like, look, I'm trying to get through this water cooler conversation at work right now and just trying to tone things down.
For sure.
Yeah.
Are there ways you can prepare yourself if you kind of know you're entering maybe enemy territory? Maybe you've met with these people before and it hasn't gone great. You disagree. pretty seriously, how do you walk into that and have a better outcome?
Here's a nice little formula that you can use and kind of plug and play for anybody to have in your back pocket for those situations. Comedians use this. It's called the comic triple. You just list 3 things, and in the list, the first 2 will be serious, mundane, obvious. The third will be funny, surprising, or different.
Okay.
Okay. And so as the political conversation starts to get tense, just say, I don't know. I mean, I'll vote for anyone that'll lower my taxes, boost the economy, and prosecute people who take their shoes off on the airplane. Because yeah, then again, we're having a conversation, and people might go, well, my agenda would be, you know, banning all reply all emails, whatever it is. And now we're having a ridiculous conversation about what our platform would be if we were president.
That's a lot more fun.
Right.
Hey, thank you so much. Great stuff. Great chatting with you. Paul's book again is called The Humor Habit. We'll have more information on our website at katu.com.